Welcome back.
Yeah, man, how you doing? You good? I know you like that. I know you like that. How long you been back, man?
Welcome into the Saturday Show, everybody. Hope you all are doing well on this Saturday morning. We are live on location once again today. We are up in Woods Cross at Murdoch Chevrolet. I'm Jake Hatch, joined as always by Michelle Bodkin. Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
How are you?
You know what? Doing so well because it's week 0.
It is. Yeah, we have games today. Now, the caliber of games across the board of week 0 aren't necessarily stellar.
No.
But hey, we have college football.
It's better than talking about conference realignment or Cam Rising's knee.
Sure. Yeah. Well, well, okay. Here's the thing. We can still talk about Cam Rising's knee.
Well, yeah, we're gonna have to. It is a storyline.
We can still talk conference realignment because the ACC apparently is just waffling every other day on if they want to take Stanford and Cal and SMU. I don't know. But.
Well, it was the Pac-12 waffling one way or another every other week, and now that's done and over. So someone else has to pick up the torch.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Very, 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 very solid point on your part on that. But yeah, we got plenty to cover on that. We'll talk about Utah. They of course open up on Thursday night. BYU's 2 days after that against Sam Houston State. Utah State is headed to Iowa City to take on the Hawkeyes, who have their own storylines in and of itself. But let's kick off today's show before we dive into that by getting everybody's highlight of the week. I'm actually going to send it right back to the studio and have Sarah kick us off this week.
Let's go.
Oh, gosh. My highlight, I don't even know. I'm glad to be back working. Like, games are back and going.
Sure, yeah.
For the Pac-12, which is kind of nice, even though, things are looking grim in the future. At least we have today to look forward to. So,
sure.
So that's been kind of nice. Just working a lot of soccer and volleyball and now football today. So that's probably my highlight.
I like that. Well, hey, it's good to be busy. Let's put it that way. And you're right. The long-range prognosis, a little iffy. But nonetheless, fun all the same. Michelle, what do you got this week?
Ooh. It's probably got to be a two-way tie between. So last week I went to FanFest.
Okay, yeah.
And it got rained out.
Well, okay. So I was at the Bees game that night, and I watched the clouds rolling in. The way they were rolling, I'm like,
yeah, this looks bad.
I was with my daughter. It was Princess night at the Bees game. So I was like, Danny, we're going to get food. I didn't make her because she would have freaked out had she seen. I'm like, let's go get food. We walk back underneath. We're ordering food, and all of a sudden you just hear the downpour and people just scrambling out of their seats. I'm like, okay, we timed it perfectly. But then I'm like, hold up. The Utah Fan Fest is tonight too. Yeah. Anyways, continue.
So I'm thinking I'm going to time it so that it's up and going and it's warm and I'm not the only person and nothing's going on. And instead I timed it for exactly when the downpour happened and everything got torn down and shut down and everybody was inside the south end zone. But so I had this guy with his 2 daughters and he asked if they could take a picture. So whoever you are made my night.
So you're our celebrity. We got
it. No, it's not. But it means a lot. It means a lot. So I haven't seen that picture floating anywhere. So if you are listening, please tag me in that picture. Just because I love that you think that highly of me, that you want me around your daughters and things like that. The other one probably would be I had a really great interview with Lynn Roberts this week on Crimson Corner.
I've had a chance to listen to it, but I saw the tweet the other day.
Yeah. So she had a lot of great things to say. She had some very interesting things to say, especially I think about where she gets advice from. And one of them was Coach Witt about recruiting. She's taken some advice from Coach Witt about how to recruit to her program, which is absolutely fascinating. But it's awesome that these coaches are helping each other out both in-house and out of house. She also talked about a bunch of the Pac-12 coaches that were really helpful in helping her diagnose some of the weaknesses in her team. Now it maybe backfired on all of them a little bit, but it's kind of nice that there isn't that. There's the competition there, but there's not the pettiness of, because I think there's this idea, at least in the women's game, that rising tides lift all ships. So, we're proud of being a conference that's really high and good, and Pac-12 women's basketball, and we want everyone to kind of raise the standards. So there was some really good stuff. So if you haven't listened to that, I'm going to plug it. Please listen to it because I think she's great. I think her team's great. I think they're going to be great, and that's going to be a fun season. But obviously, football first.
Well, sure, and that very, very good point there. But that's awesome. The thing is, we've had her on with DJ and PK 2 or 3 times, and okay, I don't mean this in a bad way. DJ and PK are very hard to impress. They've been around for so long. They've done this for 20. They're in their 22nd year working together now, and they absolutely love her. Yeah, they think she's absolutely awesome. That's why they keep having her back on because she both plays along with PK and all of his hijinks. Yeah, and she also delivers, as you mentioned, good information, good intel. It's not an easy balance to strike, but she does.
Yeah, no, she's really great.
That's awesome. So, yeah, check that out, Crimson Corner Podcast, KSLSports.com, also wherever you get your podcast, right?
Yep.
Yeah, awesome. Highlight of my week real quick is just we're back in the thick of my kids being in sports. My son has his first flag football game today. We'll see how that goes. Feels like it's going to be herding cats a little bit because they are young. But my daughter, she is continuing just to absolutely astound me with her cheerleading skills. She's like, watch this, and she does something. I'm like, what just happened here? So, anyways, it's fun. I'm a proud dad. Let's put it that way.
Well, you should be.
That's what I live for anymore, it feels like. But nonetheless, fun all the same. All right, so we got plenty to cover ahead on today's show. We're going to talk a lot of college football. We're going to get you ready for Week 0 games.
Yeah.
And, we do need to talk about okay, you know what? Let's get to it right now. Let's get to what's the big deal.
Do you know who I am?
No, I can't say that I do.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Really?
People know me.
Well, I'm very happy for you.
I'm very important. I have many leather-bound books, and my apartment smells of rich mahogany.
All right, so it is Week 0, Michelle, and the funny thing about these Week 0 games is where these games end up getting broadcast. And the joke all week has been that USC, the number 6 team in the country, they're taking on San Jose State, which actually, of all the games on the slate, outside of the Navy-Notre Dame game in Dublin, Ireland, and what I feel like is Ohio and San Diego State, the USC-San Jose State game might be the best in terms of just overall matchup because you have Caleb Williams, the reigning Heisman Trophy winner, and then also Siobhan Cordero, who's the preseason Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year as their quarterback for the Spartans. The problem is you got to find it on Pac-12 Network.
It's not a problem for me.
I know, but I'm just saying.
But yeah, for others.
I'm talking about everybody outside of us here in the Western United States. It feels like they're going to be like, hey, I want to watch USC. Where can I find that? And they're like, oh. And that's the thing about this is ESPN's primetime game tonight. Do you know who they have on the mothership in primetime?
Am I going to be really sad?
Yes, you are.
Oh, no.
UMass, New Mexico State.
Woof.
That is who is on ESPN.
Ew.
Meanwhile, USC with the reigning Heisman Trophy winner is stuck on the Pac-12 network. I don't know where this all went down, but this feels like completely backwards.
It does. I memean, that's actually really stunning. I guess the only thing I can say is get a better opponent.
Something. It's one because I was looking at this. I'm like, how in the world did the Pac-12 networks scoop USC away from Fox, ESPN, whoever else?
Yeah, but the bigger name brands.
Nonetheless, that's how it's going to shake out. It looks like today. Now, obviously, it's fun to have college football back. I had Week 3 of high school football last night. I got a chance I was calling the Lone Peak Corner Canyon game. A lot of D1 talent on both sides in that game, and a lot of it showed out in big ways as well. But college football is a whole nother deal. It's just there's a feeling about it that, hey, fall's getting here. These are athletes that are we know that college football is becoming more of a professionalized model.
Yes.
But there's still a lot of the love for the game in college still as well. And that's the thing I think I'm most excited for is we have Navy and Notre Dame flying over to Dublin, Ireland. We're a Fox Sports affiliate here on the KSL Sports Zone. And in the mornings, the last 2 mornings, the morning show that leads into DJ and PK, they've been live in Dublin at a pub doing their show.
jealous.
I know, I'm jealous too, but it's been fun. They've been hyping it up and getting ready for stuff like this. That's kind of the pageantry and the passion that college football brings.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm looking forward to most. What are you looking forward to?
Oh yeah, there is just a feeling that happens when college football is here. And it doesn't matter if Utah's playing, it doesn't matter if BYU's playing, Utah State, Weber State, like, you just can feel it when it's game day, and especially if there's like a big game at home, which Utah has this year. And it hasn't quite started to trickle through yet, but I think come Monday it's going to be very palpable. Like there's just going to be this feeling about big time program is coming to this state to play a big time game.
Okay, I don't mean this to be like a negative on this, but I look at this opener for Utah as maybe one of their best ever, because traditionally it's been Weber State, Northern Colorado, Southern Utah. Like it's been the FCS game, and okay, it's fun to have the game back, but it's competitive for the first 5 minutes.
Yeah,
and then it's like, okay, here goes Utah, and they're steamrolling. Florida coming on the other hand to kick off a season on a Thursday night. SEC team, huge history. Obviously, the old ball coach Steve Spurrier, the whole history that UF brings to the table.
Yeah,
that you're right. It's starting to really like. Hold on, Florida's going to be in Salt Lake City.
I know. Well, I mean, the SEC rarely travels out of their footprint, and especially the bigger brand SEC teams.
Yes.
So the fact that Utah got Florida to agree to come out west, like, I am so excited. I am so pumped. I cannot wait for the Florida fans to just kind of check out what we do here, because like football out west kind of has a bad rap, but I think we do it right here in Utah, and I will happily include like BYU and some of the other schools here, just because even though like Salt Lake is a bigger city, it's smaller in comparison to other places. We don't have a lot of professional teams, and so some of these games are the biggest ticket in town until the Jazz start tipping off. So it's exciting to be able to kind of showcase that. And again, I'm not trying to say that Utah is like Florida, like or any SEC team.
That's its own thing. Yeah,
it's its own thing after having seen it and experiencing it last year. But like, there's elements of it that are very, very similar. It's SEC light.
Well, and okay, I can back you up on that, because we've had Yogi Roth on our station I don't know how many times. And I have a promo that I call it an oldie but a goodie that I bring back around every so often. And he talked about Salt Lake City. He said he'd never been to Salt Lake before Utah joined the Pac-12. So this goes back 13 years.
Yeah.
But he said in his time covering Utah and obviously them being in the Pac-12, he said Salt Lake City is what I consider to be SEC quality in terms of its passion for college football. He says, you guys, and he's speaking you generally, he included everybody in the state. You guys are in the middle of, I think he said like the middle of March, and you're talking about quarterback battles. Meanwhile, the rest of the country's talking NBA, and we still talk NBA and whatnot, but we're so hyper-focused on our local college teams, because we don't have an NFL team here. The closest NFL teams are Denver and Las Vegas now.
Right.
So it opens up a huge passion that I think our fans in general in this state buy into. Yeah, it's fun to have Florida coming here. BYU, I know that Sam Houston State's not a headliner, but the fact that the season opener is here, it changes the whole feeling, because you've gone for 9 months without football, and PK and I were talking about this earlier this week. The college football season really lasts for about 3 months.
It's blink and you'll miss it.
Yeah.
And I remember last year, it kind of like the first month of it kind of feels like it goes by sort of slow. You're like, okay, like,
you're wow,
we finally got through 4 games. And then the last 2 months just goes by like that. And it's like, oh, cool. Okay, we're done now. We're thinking postseason, and then we are done for the year.
Sure, and that's the thing about this is it's why it's so fun, because it is so finite, the period that you get to watch it and embrace it and cheer on your favorite teams, whether it's the Utes, the Cougars, the Aggies, Wildcats, who you happen to root for. That's the best part about it. But at the same time, it's I don't know. It's a really pivotal time as well right now because we're going to see everything change next year. College football playoff expands. Utah joins the Big 12 along with the other 4 corner schools, which I use that term even though I don't necessarily like it.
It's easier than having to spit out every single team.
Colorado, Arizona State, Arizona, and Utah. I get that. But there's a lot of change on the horizon.
Yes.
But at the same time, this season in and of itself, because every season's got its own unique characteristics to it. But it feels like this one, and that's kind of what I want to ask the next thing for you, is because you're covering Utah, so you're pretty focused here on the Pac-12. It looks like on paper this could be a banner year for this conference, even though it's in its final year.
I know, isn't that ironic?
Yeah.
Like, it's so ironic. Part of me wants to cry about that, and a part of me
kind of do, yeah.
And a part of me kind of chuckles about that because it's like, again, we talk about things being the most Pac-12 thing ever. Like, that is the most Pac-12 thing ever.
Yeah.
Hey, we finally kind of got it together, and our football is looking really good, but we're also done after this year. Like,
we're closing up shop.
Yeah, we're closing up shop. We'll never be this good again. I don't know, but it's a wild thing to think about. But again, and this is obviously looking on paper. We'll see once the games are actually played because things could change.
Sure.
There are instances where teams look like they're going to be so good and then they end up not being good,
Correct.
or teams don't look good and then they end up being really good. But I think between everything that's kind of gone on and happened, I think there's a lot of hurt feelings throughout the conference between people. I think there's obviously the storyline of, Utah's won it the last couple of times, so they have a big target on their back.
Sure.
They're the team to beat right now. Utah, on the other hand, I know would love nothing more than to be the only team in the history of the Pac-12 to win it 3 times and maybe even launch themselves into, if all things go well, maybe slide into one of those 4 spots in the college football playoff or have another shot at another New Year's Six Bowl and maybe break through and get that win kind of off their back. So there's just a lot of things kind of going on that really I think could bubble and fester and just make this an incredible, incredible season. And then, of course, we've already kind of touched on it, talked about it, the fact that Utah's opening with 2 big games.
Yeah, we got Baylor the following week,
Baylor's a good team too. Baylor's not the typical run-of-the-mill, whatever kind of team that Utah has typically had on their schedule. So to have back-to-back games like that and then go into that Pac-12 schedule that they've got, and knowing that Utah is most likely going to be a very good team again this year, opens up a whole realm of exciting possibilities, at least while we don't know for sure what the outcome is.
Games haven't kicked off yet. That's the biggest thing is we spend so long looking forward to this, but once they actually take the field, the storylines change because the actual action is happening and you have to kind of reformat of what you think was going to happen versus what the actual reality is. And that'll be the fun part about it. But the other thing about this, and there's one thought I've had about this, and I want to run this by you, is BYU played Baylor in 2021 down in Waco. It might have been about a month after the official invitation was extended to BYU to join the conference. And Baylor is obviously going to be a conference mate. And they were hyping it up, saying, okay, BYU, it's a measuring stick game for this is what they're going to be going up against on a week in and week out basis. I've got the same thought. This is exactly kind of what Utah's going to be facing. They're going to Baylor, and I know that we're looking beyond what this coming week has with Florida.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you got to be, if you're Baylor, you're like, all right, we introduced BYU to the Big 12 brand of football, and then we get 2 years later, we're doing the exact same thing with Utah potentially here.
Yeah.
And it's going to be very interesting because you're right. The hype for Utah, that's the fun part, is you have 2 really big games. You're starting out the season with a bang. I mean, you're off and rolling. Now, you go out and lose 1 or 2 of those games.
Yeah, it totally changes the narrative.
Sure.
Totally changes the narrative and the feelings. Obviously, we saw last year Utah can recover from that and be just fine, but it does change the tone, at least early on in the season, if you lose 1 or 2 of those games.
Now, I want to ask you on this, in terms of looking ahead to Thursday night, because it's game week. Utah's already in game prep mode. They've been doing that. They're operating as such. We saw the depth chart pop up.
Yes.
Cam Rising, clearly the starter.
Yeah.
Bryson Barnes, number 2, though.
Uh-huh.
So I think that ends any debate about, okay, is it Nate Johnson, is it Bryson Barnes? Now,
does it, though?
We have had, yes, that's the other thing. It was brought up on social media. Well, Kyle threw a curveball at us with Washington State last year. Obviously, with Cam Rising's warming up, and all of a sudden, Bryson, you're going. Get in there.
Well, and here's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's true one way or another,
Mm-hmm.
but what if it's just that Bryson's number 2?
Well, that's a great point. Like,
And they're not going to list Nate Johnson unless he has to be number 1.
They're like he is the number 2 guy. Like, that's just what he is.
It could be.
Sure.
It could be.
Now, also depth chart wise, because this came out, and trust me, we all were like, okay,
scanning through it.
Okay, a couple of points I wanted to talk about.
Okay, let's hear it.
Spencer Fano, true freshman, starting at left tackle.
Yep.
His first college experience is even 18. I remember how old he is, but he is going up against an SEC defense.
Yeah.
Okay, and there were people out there like, well, why are they I'm like, here's the thing. I watched that kid in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I was absolutely floored at his skill. He's just so fluid. He understands the game at a deeper level than most freshmen do. I'm really impressed that he is the starting left tackle. Your thought?
Yeah. I mean, it's incredibly impressive. I think I saw a stat that this is the first time Utah is starting a freshman for game 1 since 2020.
Okay.
So, it's not something that happens very often. Mm-hmm. And if I believe also that it's maybe only happened twice at the tackle position.
Okay.
So I mean, no, they don't typically throw a freshman to the fire.
Yeah.
Now, because fans do what fans are going to do, right? They worry and they pick apart. Well, does that mean that nobody else was good? No. This offensive line unit is really good for Utah. They could probably come up with 4 or 5, I think, different lineups with the guys that they have, mix and match however they want. What this says, though, is that this is the best 5 combo in their minds, at least in practice. Mm-hmm. We'll see how that translates to games. It could be different, and the good news is they have other people they feel confident in. If it doesn't work out, they can plug someone else in, and it probably will be fine. It probably will be fine. I don't think there's any reason to worry or fret, but the fact of the matter is Kyle and company has been doing this for so long, they would not put Spencer in this position if they did not feel confident that he could do it. And they've clearly been seeing things in practice that indicate that he is more than ready for this role.
Now, other thing I noticed on that, because I'm really impressed with that, Sato Olaume will be over on the right side, and I think that's a really nice pair of bookend tackles. And you mentioned the offensive line. I got no problem with Jim Harding. Anything I feel like he says, I'm going to go with that. I'm like, hey, you've got a track record of putting out pretty good offensive line play. So I'm looking at that. Now, defensively, I was very impressed that Keanu Tanuvasa is starting over Samote Pepa. Mm-hmm. Your thought on that one?
You know what? Keanu has worked his butt off. Mm-hmm. That has been the report out of camp. Keanu has done everything he possibly can to get ready, be prepared, and be able to take that position. Now, there's also some question about, there's been some reporting that the defensive line is a little banged up as well. So, there is some question there as to, is Samote maybe one of those players that's banged up and he would otherwise be in the 2 deep?
Sure, yeah.
But the other part of it is, and I've seen this pointed out a couple of times, is the 2 deep doesn't mean as much on the defensive line for Utah as it does, other positions and stuff, because they are constantly rotating guys through. And they have come out and said that they have a group that they feel like they can kind of rotate through and keep it fresh and keep everybody hopefully healthy and ready to go. So, but regardless, it doesn't change the fact that Keanu has put in the work. He has put in the work to be ready and to be one of those guys that can be in that rotation, regardless of whether he's the 1, the 2, the 3. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter because, again, they just rotate through guys.
Now, when it comes to – because this defense is expected to be one of the best that Kyle Whittingham and Morgan Scalley have ever fielded. And that's got to tell you something, I feel like, in terms of if a guy like Keanu Tanuvasa can beat out a guy like Samote Pepa, because Pepa, to me, I love the kid. I think he's absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, he had some great moments last year.
And the nice part is you also have Junior Tafuna, who is also just an absolute stud. He's just an absolute rock in the middle of that defense. But then looking at the linebacking core, I'm stunned at the depth they've got. Karene Reed, Levani Demooney, Lander Barton are your starters, but then you have Josh Calvert, Sione Fotu on this, Justin Medlock, and it feels like to me they could have gone 3 or 4 more guys. They want to do like a 3 deep. They easily could have done that at linebacker.
Oh yeah. I talked with Colton Swan, and I was like, you have enough guys. I think that you could do even a 4-backer set.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. I mean, if the offense that we're playing against calls for it, we can easily do that. Like, we have guys. We have guys that we feel confident in. I think one of the more interesting ones to me is that Josh Calvert has worked his way up the roster.
He's been buried.
He's been buried for a little while, and I know some of that's been a health thing as well. But it's nice to see that he's finally healthy and maybe in a place where he can contribute. And then, of course, you have Sione Fotu that played, I believe he played in 2020, if I'm remembering correctly, and then went on the mission, showed really well in that shortened season, but has been gone for a little while. I believe he was back here last year. Had to kind of knock some rust off and get back into things, but it looks like, he's in a place where he's ready to contribute. And so it's going to be really exciting to see someone like him back out on the field again.
No doubt about that. Okay, just 2 other quick notes I had just chart-wise I wanted to run by you. Jaquindon Jackson, number 1 running back. I was actually really impressed there was not like 4 oars between all these dudes.
I know, right? Yeah, that's a little out of character.
They listed Mekhi Bernard as the backup, but then we're not even mentioning Chris Curry. We're not mentioning Jalen Glover. I was stunned that it was a clearly delineated starter backup.
Yeah, I mean, that's not typically how Utah has rolled, I think, in situations like that. But I think that probably really just indicates where Jaquindon's at, the work he's put in, and even Mekhi, too. But don't for a second think that you're not going to see some of these other guys. Like, again, this is another position group that's rolling deep. And I think, this depth chart just would have been way too long if they had listed all the oars with every position group.
Here's the thing: we had BYU a couple years ago list like the Frodo position, and they had 17 defensive positions. I remember looking at that depth chart, and I'm like, what in the world just happened?
What is this?
I remember asking them, like, why'd you say, like, well, we want to make sure you guys had everything covered with regards to our personnel packages. I'm like, Coach, no offense. The lay fan and even me as a media member, I don't know what a Frodo is in your defense.
A hairy little hobbit.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
It said Frodo, F-R-O-D-O. I'm like, Frodo? They had those different names. I'm like, okay, here's the thing. Unless you're going to be sitting next to me and telling me, okay,
whispering in my ear.
The Frodo package, Samwise Gamgee sitting next to me and like, hey, Frodo's in there. Like, okay, so I'm actually okay with them being a little more concise.
Yeah.
Here's how it, because you could extend that out. Okay, real quick, one more one on this. Brant Keithy, listed as the starting tight end. There's been question of his availability. What are you hearing on that front?
Don't expect him.
Okay.
For Florida.
Got it.
Fair enough. Super easy. Super easy.
But he is when he is cleared, easy. He's the guy.
I was told 3 to 4 games in.
Okay. Well, and that. Here's the thing. That could be the Cam Rising situation as well. We don't know yet on both of those players.
We don't know yet, but I will throw out the Cam Rising situation is sounding a lot more positive 24 hours later than it did initially early on.
Sweet. Well, hey, that's good to
hear.
So
we'll see.
Hey.
Not cleared yet, but we will see.
Michelle is the Utah insider for a reason, folks. Let's be very clear about that.
Yeah.
All right. We will take a time. We'll come back on the other side, talk some more football. I want to talk a little more on BYU side of things real quick. First, we're going to be joined, though, by Lindsay here. We're here at Murdoch Chevrolet up in Woods Cross. Back here, we were here 2 weeks ago, Lindsay, and I walked in, and there's a really cool sign outside that says 97 years, obviously. And Murdoch's have been in business for a really, really long time. You guys are celebrating big time.
Yeah, absolutely we are. And part of that celebration is we've got over 12 new Silverados on our lot. You can get up to $7,000 off on the half tons.
Wow, okay.
We've got several HDs out there. We've even got box work trucks with service bodies on the back. And
so no matter what you want, you got options.
Absolutely. Yeah, we actually have over 100, probably pushing 150 used cars as well with trucks. So.
Okay, so I remember talking to you a couple weeks ago about the used car deal. How is the market still strong on that? How are things looking used cars wise right now?
Market's still very strong. You can bring in trades. We pay good value on the trades. You can actually take a look at almost anything.
Sure, yeah.
As far as what
options,
we've got
yes.
here. Yeah, we've got some pretty high-end used cars, and we've got a lot of those cars that kind of fits the niche with that $15,000, $25,000 range as well.
Now, of course, Chevrolet, an all-American brand, we all know this. In terms of what has been the hottest model in the Chevrolet run right now? Do you guys have one that's going out the door faster than those? Because you mentioned the Silverados.
Silverados is always, I guess, as they say, the golden calf of Chevy.
Yeah.
But the new Chevy Trax is just I don't think we've ever had one that has hit the lot that hasn't been sold.
Got it. It's already
been
spoken
sold.
for.
Yeah, spoken for, and we've got a bunch coming in. The Trailblazer is one that the Trax is going to probably take over, but the Trailblazer has been extremely popular as well.
Now, obviously, people can stop in. You're here all day. How long are you guys open for today on Saturday?
Open till 8.
Yeah, so you got options. You can come in and check it out. Talk to Lindsay. Talk to the entire staff here. It's great. It's hard to miss this place, also. By the way,
absolutely.
As I look, the address officially is 2375 South, 625 West in Woods Cross. Here's the thing. Get off the 2300 South exit.
2600.
Sorry, 2600 South exit. Hang a left. It's right here.
Yep.
You can't miss it. It's right off I-15. Stop by. We'll talk with you as the show progresses. All right, Lindsay?
All right. Thank you.
All right. More in a moment. We are live once again here at Murdoch Chevrolet in Woods Cross. Stop on by. Pick up some jazz gear. Get some candy. Say hi to Michelle because apparently she's a celebrity, having people taking pictures with her. Hey, you know what? We'll take care of you. More in a moment. This is the Saturday Show on 97.5 FM, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back to the Saturday Show here on 97.5 FM, the KSL Sports Zone. Saturday Show live on location today in Woods Cross. Just has a listener take some jazz swag out the door with him, but appreciate all you stopping by. Come by and check it out. $7,000 off Chevy Silverados. That's not nothing. Let's put it that way. That's a pretty significant.
That's a good chunk of change.
Absolutely. So stop on by. I'd love to see you guys. You can get some candy as well if you got your kiddos with you. No matter where you're at on this Saturday, we're just off the freeway in Woods Cross. Stop on by. We'd love to see you guys and say hello. All right, Michelle, let's dive back in and talk some more football. Now, with regards to the Week 0 slate, here's the thing. I love the overseas idea, like playing in Dublin for Notre Dame and Navy. I actually, if you're going to play Week 0, I think you should do more stuff like this.
Yeah.
Send teams abroad. Now, we had Arizona, I think, play in Australia not too long ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
Cal also did that.
Yeah, Cal did, because the Pac-12 had a little run where they were trying to send Australia. I would, if you're gonna play one of these games where it's a novelty where you're not playing the full slate of games, it's not Week 1, it's still Week 0. If I was the NCAA, I'd essentially tell them, hey, find something unique about this game. Go somewhere for Dublin, for example, play somewhere unique, or play in an iconic venue that maybe doesn't have college football all the time. I just try and spice it up a little bit rather than, hey, we're playing UMass in New Mexico State in Las Cruces, New Mexico at 5 o'clock Mountain Time on ESPN. Yeah,
big yawn. You know what always made me so kind of sad about the Australia thing with the Pac-12? Why did you never ask you? Because that was at the height of when they had Tom Hackett, Mitch Wishnowsky. Bring them to Australia.
Yeah. Well,
they're freaking superstars here. Bring them to their homeland and let them kick the pigskin or kick the bacon. That's what it was. Kick the bacon.
Yeah, that's the greatest thing he's ever said. Probably Tom said a lot of good things in his media career, but kick the bacon, maybe. I just was rolling listening to that one because you're right. It's why wouldn't you take advantage of that? Because there's the whole thing with now on the BYU side of things with the Big 12. They want to make that push into Mexico.
Right.
You got to guarantee BYU is over there just raising their hand, saying, "Yep, we'll do it." There's north of 1 million members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Mexico. It's the largest population base of members outside of the United States in the entire world. Like, you have missionaries all over that country and members. Why wouldn't you say, yeah, we'll play Mexico City, we'll go to Monterrey, we'll do all this stuff? Because it gives you a built-in, I guess, I don't want to say fan base, but a built-in hook to get people to come out to those games.
You know what's going to happen? Utah BYU in Mexico.
I'm totally okay with that. I'm not going to lie.
I need to brush up on my passport first.
Now, the biggest thing is that they've said that right now it's going to be mainly basketball are going to be the actual in-season contests in Mexico City. They want to open a bowl game in Monterrey, though.
Right.
Which, hey, if you can get but here's the thing. If that bowl game gets off the ground, who's to say you don't send a regular season football game down there at some point?
I mean, why not? Why not? Like, I mean, we've talked about this before. It's going to end up being the biggest rivalry in the Big 12. It is.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Farmageddon. Like, it's not.
Yeah. Y'all just have no idea what you're in for, and it terrifies me a little. Like I've said, I'm not super thrilled and excited about this, but
sure.
But from a purely like marketing and branding standpoint, like it's perfect.
Yeah.
It is perfect. From a having to live with people standpoint, maybe not so great.
Sure, but that's the fun part about this rivalry. It exists literally in everything.
Oh my gosh, yeah. See, and I'm very much let's turn it off when we don't need it.
I get that.
But, I know I'm maybe a little bit of a rarity on that end of it.
It stirs up passion. That's the thing about it.
It does.
People are all in on it at all times. That's the thing about it. Like,
it is.
You can say the most innocuous thing on social media, and if it's in some person's mind on either side of BYU Utah
oh my
fans,
gosh.
like they think you're taking a shot at them, off you go.
Well, I mean, for instance, what Kyle Whittingham said about,
yes.
Like, I mean, how does that start? Like, how does that kick a hornet's nest? But I mean, that's just what this rivalry is.
Yeah, and if you're trying to catch up on that, Kyle Whittingham, he's been a broken record on this, by the way.
Yes,
this is
nothing new.
He has gone on and said that he sees radical changes, like radical. He thinks that the Super Conference era is here and it's coming faster than anybody expects. And Kyle, he's the one guy who's been like, I'll say the quiet part out loud. I don't care. Like but. For whatever reason, either people weren't paying attention and it got kicked up this week that he thinks it's going to blow up. He does think it's going to blow up. There's a lot of people in the college football world who think it's going to blow up.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean, and we've talked this on DJ and PK, is it going to be the top 40 teams? Is it the top 50 teams? And does that mean that does Utah and BYU in particular, because obviously those are of interest to us here in the state, do they make that cut? Do they get inside that field?
Is it one? Is it both?
Yeah.
Is it neither? Is it like... Yeah, like that. There's just a lot to consider here, and at the moment, we don't really know. And I've been on record as saying this as well. Mm-hmm. This Big 12 thing, in my opinion, is very temporary.
Okay,
it's very, very temporary, and I don't mean that as a slight or to be mean or to be rude. It's just the way things are going. That's what it is. These networks have an idea of what they want, and they're going to cherry pick and move and tweak and take what they want and leave the rest. And so if you don't think for a second that there isn't some risk that some of the better programs that are currently in the Big 12, and as of right now, Utah looks to be one of them, we'll see who else emerges. But if you don't think that it's in the back of BYU's mind that, hey, we got to make the most of this opportunity because we don't want to be left out. While Utah's over there sitting and thinking, we got to keep this going because we don't want to fall off and get left out. Like, it's on everybody's minds. That, like, I can promise you the people in those back rooms are thinking about this constantly, and they are scrambling to try and make sure that Utah, BYU, whoever else, TCU, whoever else in that conference is ready to go in case the call-up comes.
Now, therein lies kind of the debate on the timing of all this, because that was kind of the one thing is like Kyle, I think the comment was 2 to 3 years, or so, I don't remember the exact phraseology he used on it, but there's a lot of people that are saying, well, the media rights deals are set for the next 6-ish years because that's the 2031 is when the Big 12 deal is up, and there's a grant of rights. Obviously, it's been signed by all the members, including the incoming. They have to sign that. Here's the thing. Whether it happens 2 to 3 years, whether it happens in 5 or 6 years in the early 2030s, it's coming. And to your point, if you're BYU and Utah, yeah, you got to be playing your best ball. Because here's the thing. Had Big 12 expansion, I'm talking about when BYU got in, had that happened in 2016, USF probably gets him ahead of UCF.
Totally.
UCF had fallen hard. They went 0-12 one year, and USF was rocking and rolling at that point. And there are a lot of people saying, okay, the Bulls, okay, they're the ones to go pick up. But it didn't happen. All of a sudden, UCF figured it out. They had Scott Frost. They have a fantastic run as their head coach. They got back winning. USF went into the tank. Guess what? When the actual expansion happened, who did they take? They take the Knights. They don't take the Bulls. That's the concern you've got to have if you're BYU and Utah right now. You have to maintain, to your point, BYU's got to take advantage of this.
Yep.
Utah's got to maintain.
Because both, I think, have the potential to be right on the edge.
Sure, yeah.
But, like...
They're in talks. They'll be teams that are being debated.
Yes.
And they've got to just be proven, like, we're good now.
Here's the thing. Neither one of these teams want to be the debate. Well, maybe. Well, maybe. No, you want people going into that room and being like, no, we want them.
They're coming.
You're coming.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting time. Back to the point. That's the rivalry that exists in all things. And that's what here's the thing. The Big 12, I'm seeing their fans online. They're like, man, these BYU and Utah fans get after it.
I know.
And
we do.
We're sitting over here like, yeah, well.
Yeah, welcome to the party.
Well, welcome in. So, good times. All right, we will take a time out here. We'll come back on the other side. We'll dig into technical fouls in hour 2 of the program. We got 5 minutes left. We got plenty more football to talk as well. Some more to come on the Saturday show right here live from Murdoch Chevrolet in Woods Cross. Stop on by. I'd love to see you guys. More in a moment. This is 97.5 FM, the KSL Sports Zone.
You're coming from the street with dirty shoes on your feet. That's a technical foul. If you switch the radio to some modern music show, that's a technical foul. If you touch the thermostat,
you'll get hit with a bat.
'Cause that's a technical foul.
You will feel my wrath.
That's a technical foul.
Personal foul, 69, offense. He was giving them the business.
A technical foul.
Welcome back to the Saturday show here on 97.5 FM, the KSL Sports Zone, live today at the Woods Cross Murdoch Chevrolet location. Love for you guys to stop by. We'll talk with Lindsay here in a moment, but it's time now for technical fouls. And we were talking in the break, and Michelle and Sarah both have the same one they picked, and it's probably the biggest technical foul of the week. There's no doubt about it. So, Sarah, I'm going to let you kind of explain what happened here.
So if you guys didn't know, the Women's World Cup just happened. Spain came out victorious, and in the celebration, there was some unsolicited activity between the president of the Spanish Federation and the players. He, kissed one of the players on the mouth, forced it upon her, and she was not okay with it, did not consent to it, and so it's caused some disciplinary action by FIFA to open a case against him. They ended up suspending him. The most recent news that came out is that he's suspended amid the investigation because yesterday he was saying that he refuses to resign. And yeah, it's just there's been so much drama surrounding the leaders of this Spanish team going into the World Cup, and now this to add on to it. It's come on, dude. What is wrong with people? I just don't get it.
Okay, so let me insert also on this. He has had calls for him to step down. Mm-hmm. And this is the other thing about this is the coach had 15 members of the Spanish women's Spanish national team essentially say, we won't play for this dude. This is over a year ago. 3 of them ended up playing for this version of La Roja Furia, who won the Women's World Cup. So first time they've ever won it in the women's side of things. Fantastic accomplishment. It's been sullied by all of this.
Yes.
And this dude, I got no kind words for him. Michelle, what is your take?
Yes, I wanted to talk about this because I've talked about it a little bit. I have gone through exactly this.
Okay.
A year ago, I had someone force themselves upon me, just kind of heading into the football season. It's something that I am still dealing with now.
Sure.
And it is very frustrating when you have someone say the things that this guy has said. Well, I'm not stepping down. I was just caught up in the moment. BS.
Yeah.
BS. And, driving up here, I was trying to think about, the best way to kind of explain just how ridiculous that argument is. And the 2 things that I came up with, kind of more hypothetical land, but just to, paint the picture of why this just doesn't work, is Imagine that Ruth Watkins is still the president up at Utah.
Okay.
Kyle Whittingham and the Utes win the national championship, and Ruth Watkins comes up and plants one on Coach Witt. Can you imagine the
plants one Cam Rising?
Yeah. Can you imagine the outrage over that and how people would say that's unladylike, it's inappropriate, it's this, it's that, who does that?
The whole referendum.
A whole thing. Why is it that she will get chewed out in that instance? Or if I did that, I would get chewed out. I would be laid out. Mm-hmm. But the attitude towards something like this is, well, guys will be guys. He was just caught up in the moment.
No. Yeah.
Miss me with that. Again, as someone that has dealt with this and has heard, the person that I'm dealing with has made up excuses as well. And, oh, by the way, there are other women as well. So it's a pattern. It's also a pattern of behavior.
Sure. And here's the thing. This guy, because he trust me, he's had people from all corners of the soccer world and even beyond that, actual government officials in Spain, okay, dude, get out.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, this guy who's is being defiant about it. And I'm like, what are you doing here?
It's
what are we doing here?
So common in these cases, though, unfortunately, from personal experience.
There's not many more technical fouls. I'm going to give just a quick one to the 49ers because the Trey Lance gamble is over.
Oh, man, yeah.
We trust me, I'm a Niners fan. I'm jaded as all get out about this. You traded away 3 first-round picks to move up to number 3 in the draft and go and get Trey Lance. For them to now ship him off to Dallas for a 4th-round pick, okay, way to go, guys. But you're right. This is the fact that Spain is still dealing with it, and this guy has not gone already.
Yeah,
is just who calls the shots here? This guy should be out on his rear end on the curb. Should have done that 4 days ago.
Because if it was opposite, that person would be gone.
Yeah. Anyways.
Well, we know FIFA's not the most moral organization either, so it might take a sec before this gets done. And it's just so frustrating because women's sports, especially women's soccer, has come so far, and then it just reminds you that it still has so much further to go when something like this happens. It's ridiculous.
And Gianni Infantino, who is the president of FIFA, he's running the global organization, got up on a podium down there in Australia and said, well, now is a time for women to prove that they can be a force. And it's well, here's your opportunity to do that. Meanwhile, you guys are just sitting on your hands. Way to go.
Otherwise, right now, you're basically saying that they're objects and property. Thank you.
You're a bit complicit in all this. It's a bad situation all the way around. Like I said, I got to hold my tongue a little bit because there's other words I want to say about this.
I know,
shit
right?
happened to this dude.
Yeah.
Anyways, but we will get back to there's an actually interesting thing I want to talk about next. It popped up in the college basketball realm, Michelle, this week between BYU and Kansas State with a transfer between the two. And Jerome Tang, I want to play the comments from Jerome Tang about Quez Glover and BYU. I want to expand it out. I'll explain coming up next. But before we do that, we're going to talk with Lindsay here at the Murdoch Chevrolet here in Woods Cross. And, Lindsay, we were just talking when you were last on about the fact you said 12 Silverados on the lot. That's a big thing right now, is actually having multiple options for people to come and check out.
Yeah, not only that, but a lot of the used Silverados we have are actually basically new.
Oh, sweet. Okay, so
21, 22s. We actually have a 23 brand new Colorado that's technically used. with just a
How
few
does a
thousand
23?
miles. Just a few thousand miles.
Okay. All
Someone
right.
decided it must have been too small for them or something. It's a gorgeous truck. We have that. We have new Colorados here as well with the new design.
Okay.
So you can come on in and check that out. And
Well, as a guy who once upon a time drove the old S10, the Colorado looks far better than my S10 ever did. I'll tell you that much.
I think Chevy hit it out of the park with the new design on the Colorados. It's just a beautiful truck,
Absolutely.
inside and out.
Yeah, the truck. Well, I just recently got out of a Chevy. I absolutely love the thing. In many ways, I still wish I had it in certain. But they know what to do with it when it comes to consumers. They make it so it's really, really comfortable. But at the same time, your functionality is absolutely incredible inside the car as well.
Absolutely. They've done a whole redesign. If you sit, a lot of the vehicles we have, sports cars and stuff, they call it the cockpit.
Yes.
Actually.
Yeah, cockpit,
Yeah. So if you actually sit in there,
Yeah.
everything is just right there. Steering wheel, push buttons, everything like that. So they make it about as simplified as you can get.
Now, you guys are celebrating 97 years with the Murdochs. What all does that entail for you guys? What all you got going on?
Well, right now, as we celebrate that, being 97 years in the business, you can get up to $7,000 on select Silverados, the half tons. And part of what we like to do, too, 97 years, we feel that we've done it right.
Well, yeah, as I say, when you're nearing the century mark, you've done something.
Yeah. So we do like to follow our mission statement that when you come through these doors, you feel like family, and we love to treat people like family.
Well, absolutely. Well, we'll continue to talk with you throughout today's show, but last thing I got for you guys, for you, Ace, in particular, is when it comes to people stopping in here, do they stop by the front desk? Who should they talk to when they get here?
Well, you should, when you pull up, you should, salesman will meet you right at the front doors.
Yeah.
They'll actually greet you with a warm and friendly smile and ask how they can be of service, and we'll just take you from there to driving off in a new car.
The old slogan, you are the heart of our business, right?
There you go.
All right, we'll talk more with you throughout the rest of the show. All right, Lindsay?
Yep.
All right, more in a moment. Hour 2 of the program underway momentarily right here on 97.5 FM, the KSL Sports Zone.
I've been a walking heartache. I've made a mess of me. The person that I've been lately.
Welcome back to the Saturday show here on 97.5 FM, the KSL Sports Zone. Hour 2 of the program underway right now. Michelle Bodkin there, Jake Hatch here as we break down all things. We've been talking a lot of football this morning, obviously, both football and football. I guess we should, if in that last segment. But a lot to talk about on that front. But, Michelle, the NIL situation continues to kind of evolve out there in the college sports universe, I guess is the easiest way to say it. And the interesting part about this is there's like this ongoing debate back and forth of, is it ever going to get reined in? Is it ever going to, are they ever going to go back to what it was? In many ways, and we're going to play some comments from Jerome Tang, who is the Kansas State basketball coach. It involves a former BYU basketball player who transferred to Kansas State, and his comments about the whole situation. We'll get to that in just a minute. But when it comes to the NIL sphere, them saying that it's ever going back, there's not a chance.
No.
The toothpaste is out of the tube. It's been squeezed out, and you're never putting that back.
Oh, yeah, no. You mess with Pandora's box, and you get what you get. And that's basically where we're at the moment with this. Now, is there a possibility to maybe better control it, better regulate it, better potentially?
Yeah.
Potentially, if everybody gets together and can agree, but that's also... They're in and of itself an issue and a problem.
Yeah, and that's the thing about this is you can think that it's going to be controlled, but here's the thing. This is already completely unregulated even when it was under the table.
Oh, yes. If you work in this industry, you've heard the tales of poker chips and
bagmen.
Driving trails through small towns with various stops where you can go collect your cash. Come
on,
I'm trying to
Tennessee had the deal with who's that former head coach who's got in big trouble? Got them in big trouble. They legitimately were putting cash in McDonald's bags. Pruitt, yes. Yeah. McDonald's bags filled with cash. They would just like, hey, that bag over there underneath that tree, that pick it up.
Yeah, that's for you.
What are you doing?
Don't ask questions and make sure no one's around when you open it. Funneling money through a church.
Sure.
Yeah. There are stories out there for sure. And, I have zero doubt that there isn't some truth to it just wouldn't get to you and come up if there wasn't some validity to that. So yes, it's now you can openly kind of do these things. Mm-hmm. If you put regulations on these things, then we're going to go back to, McDonald's bags under random trees. It's just, people are always going to try and cheat the system and get around it and whatnot. But I think there at least needs to be an effort to get it somewhat under control. Especially with some of these schools that have better resources. Like, I know for a fact some of these blue bloods are thinking that they can now go shopping at Utah for players. And I've heard several stories about things that other, Utah's players have been offered.
BYU's not the only one. That's the thing about this.
Exactly.
BYU, I can tell you this much. There's a former Cougar who's in the NFL right now who had USC offer him. I'm not going to say the number, but I know the number, and I was like, wow.
Well, it was a nice chunk of change.
Absolutely. It was USC under Lincoln Riley. Like, hey, you want to come join the band? And he's like, I'm going to the NFL, but thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah. So it's you're getting these schools that I think are starting to think and figure out, well, we don't have to put the work into developing. We'll go to these other schools that do that.
Or recruit off other rosters.
And it's just, I was told about an SEC team that has a whole staff in place that all they do is they watch tape on other players and make lists of people to go approach in the offseason to bolster their roster.
It's kind of what the reality is, though. That's what they're doing.
It's insane.
And sadly, it feels like it's only going to get worse before it gets better in a way. But the situation, it came close to home this week for BYU basketball. So Quez Glover was a transfer. He actually played both at Florida and Samford. Was a grad transfer from Samford. Came to BYU. Has spent essentially the summer here working out with the team. But then decided to jump back into the portal just about a week or two ago or something like that.
It was fairly recent.
Ends up landing at Kansas State, and there was a whole question of, okay, what in the world happened here? And there were insinuations that BYU's collective, the Royal Blue Collective, and their other collectives that are in play weren't stepping up to the plate and all that type of stuff. Well, Jerome Tang, who is the head coach at Kansas State, where he ultimately landed, and by the way, he's getting a significant amount of money, reports out there, in the hundreds of thousands, crazy number to me. But he spoke to the media about Quez joining the team, but then talked about what exactly from his perspective led Quez to leave BYU, and he insinuates that Mark Pope would agree with this. Here we go.
Another guard in Quez Glover. Coach Pope had some comments about NIL perhaps driving him away from BYU. Did you see that the same way?
Well, I'm really glad you asked me that question. And first of all, Quez Glover is a terrific basketball player. Played in Florida for 2 years at Samford. Most of the coaches in that league thought he was right there for Player of the Year. His senior year, he played hurt early, and then when he came back at the end, averaged almost 20 the last 10 games of the season. He's a competitor. He can get downhill. He can get by. He can make tough shots. He's a 2-to-1 assist to turnover guy, and so we're excited for his leadership and his ability on the floor. Off the court, he's a terrific human being. I mean, y'all are gonna love him. A great smile, very engaging, great eye contact. I'm excited. Both him and TP are gonna be terrific. I believe Coach Pope was sending more of a message to his alumni about the NIL thing than he was speaking on behalf of who Quez Glover is. But to correct this thing, it's his family and him decided to leave because of a lack of trust, not a lack of NIL. right? These guys, these young men are promised things going in, and when they get there, when it's not delivered or they don't see the ability, if there's a lack of trust in one area, it spreads to all areas. Okay, and so it wasn't an NIL movement; it was a trust movement, and he just didn't feel like they could do what they said they were going to do. And I think Coach Pope would be willing to agree to that also.
There you go, Jerome Tang. And, okay, Michelle, so on its head, trust. Here's the thing. Trust and NIL almost feel like they're interconnected in this circumstance.
Totally. And I think that was his way of getting around that fact.
Yeah.
It was being able to say the quiet part out loud without telling on himself.
Put it on the table. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
So I dug into this week, and here's the thing. There was an incident between Quez Glover and Mark Pope, and there were things said on both sides. And there was a miscommunication at some level. I don't know where the miscommunication happened, but Quez Glover thought he was promised certain things. Meanwhile, BYU, from the basketball perspective and also from the NIL side of things, so from the collective side of things, thought it was a different situation. There was a miscommunication there. The incident, I think, exacerbated probably what Quez Glover was already considering, saying, you know what, maybe Provo's not my scene. Maybe I need to look somewhere else. And that may have been his... I don't know, his out. The way to be like, you know what? I'm gone. He lands at Kansas State. You wish him well, nothing but the best. But to your point, it feels like, Jerome Tang is putting out on the table that, yes, we are all skirting the rules, but I'm going to not implicate myself. But at the same time, I'm sticking a fork in BYU at the same time.
Yeah. You know what? I probably realistically, both parties are guilty.
I think all parties are guilty in all of this at all times.
Yes. I mean, don't promise things you're not going to provide, or
have it in a contract.
Exactly. Exactly. Like,
get it in writing.
Get it in writing. Like my dad always tells me, document. Like, this is not about handshake. Like, don't take a page out of the Pac-12. There are no gentlemen's agreements.
Hey, by the way, 2-year anniversary of the alliance was just the other day.
We hate alliances here, and they're the worst. But yeah, don't take anything at face value. You better have that written down and signed, and witnesses to all the signatures and blah blah blah.
Get a notary if you have to.
Yes, seriously. And then on top of that, on some level with these kids and their parents, and when is enough enough?
Well, that's the question.
When is enough enough? When do you get to a point where you just accept that you're in a good spot?
Sure. And that's the thing you have to balance here, is because a lot of this, let's be honest, a lot of these guys they're hired guns. They're mercenaries. They're going to the highest bidder. Now, as I understand it, BYU put a very significant offer out there, NIL wise, for Quez Glover. Like they were going to take care of him, and I just the more I kind of think about this is that this is Jerome Tang's way of, as you kind of pointed out, Michelle, of putting it out there, saying the quiet part out loud without actually saying it, and at the same time knowing that BYU is going to be a member of your conference moving forward. Essentially, you wound them in the recruiting sphere, because now Mark Pope has to go out on the recruiting trail with any person out there who has paid attention and have to answer the questions. Okay, this Quez Glover kid, what happened?
Yeah. And then, to your point, you look at, what happened on the other side. Did you see an opportunity and you swooped in?
Sure.
And, knock that crap off. Like, knock it off. Like, stop being a lazy sack of and do your own work.
Yeah.
To recruit these kids and provide NIL to them off the bat. Stop shopping off of people's rosters. It's just lazy.
It is lazy, but the sad part is you have that avenue open to you.
Yes.
And why? And by the way, if you're one of the blue bloods, to use that term, if you're one of these top programs and you see good players around the country, why wouldn't you do that? With the current circumstances being what they are.
I mean, the rules are there ain't no rules.
Yeah,
but
it's the Wild West. Yeah,
but something needs to be done about that, because it's just How does anyone else succeed
or compete
if their rosters are constantly being shopped because someone else is too lazy to put in the work, but instead they think they can just throw a pile of money at it and problem solved.
Well, here's the thing. Hi, USC. That's
Alabama, Ohio State.
USC's been the most, I feel like, in terms of the college football realm, the most out in front of it, if that makes sense. They've been like the Jordan Addison situation will forever. That won't baffle me. It'll just bug me.
Yeah.
This is a kid who wins the Biletnikoff Award with Pitt. And then because he's got connections to Caleb Williams and he wants to play in a more high-powered offense or have a bigger platform than apparently the Pitt Panthers could offer him in his mind, well, Lincoln Riley and whoever else he's got working behind the scenes with all that money throws a bag at him and says, hey, come down here to SC. Now, did it work out for Jordan Addison? Yes. He's a draft pick. He's with the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, good for him. But it's just that you're right. It looks really, really bad because it just looks lazy. To your point, it's like, okay, so you're a coach who wants to just essentially just scoop up. You want to put together an all-star team, and you're letting all these other programs do your work for you, and then you're like, all right, you, and you are coming with me. The rest of y'all, thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, it just like I said, by all means, get your money.
Yeah,
by all means, get your money, but like. Also, have a good sense of when is enough.
Sure.
And understand, too, and I know that this was something that was discussed with a Utah player that got, some significant offers from elsewhere, was, yeah, okay, you can go and take that money, and it's going to be extra big money, and that's great.
Yeah.
But you have a legacy here that is kind of unmatched. So, you can go to this place for a single season, whatever, and have that money. But in the meantime, you wreck whatever you did here. And so, don't think that you can come back and ask for favors or ask for help. Like, that all goes away. So, there is also something to be said for the benefits that you get aren't necessarily monetary either. Sometimes it's future stuff. Sometimes it's networking. It's opportunities at careers and being able to pave a path forward once your career is over, because it will end. You're not playing football forever. You're just not.
No.
And okay, yeah, maybe you get into like broadcast or coaching or, but maybe not. And so, do you want to go and piss off a bunch of people that did everything they could to support you to go chase a bag and really probably be filler for whatever team is pursuing you? I mean, really, truly, honestly. Like, that is something that these kids need to have people around them telling them this. It's not all about money. Like, money is nice.
Correct.
Believe me, money is nice.
Yeah,
As someone that does not have a lot of money, money is nice.
We work in an industry where, money's relative. Let's put it that way.
But
yeah.
There are other things to be gained and other things that you can benefit from. Don't burn the whole damn bridge down.
Correct.
For a single piece of the overall picture.
What you consider you secure the bag, you could burn a lot of other bags on the way down. Now, that also adds to the conversation I had about this whole situation with Quez Glover. Both the Crimson Collective and the Royal Blue Collective, the two collectives representing BYU and Utah, they are doing really, really cool stuff, especially on the mentorship side of things. Now, here's the deal. They want to connect these athletes. I'm not talking just Utah football and BYU football. I'm talking the entire athletic departments at both universities. They are offering up opportunities to meet with some of the more high-powered alumni, I guess I should say, of their various universities. We're talking people in politics, business, media, on down the list. And they're building relationships between these because obviously these mentors, they have incentive because they're alumni of the university. They're probably fans and the like. They want to give back, and they want to be tied into athletics. It's a really, really nice thing that is going back and forth here that, to your point, if you say, okay, this X university over here has offered me $500,000 to leave BYU or Utah. Well, guess what? You can do that. You can go take that $500,000 and wish you well, move on. But to your point, the alumni association that you've built here, the bridges you've built, the mentorship you've received, in many ways it goes right out the window, because at that point that mentor is going to be like, all right, so if I were to hire this guy for my business, whatever it might be, if they get poached away, they're just going to jump. That's the thing you got to, as you point out. There's a legacy. There's a network you can build in college that literally can benefit you for the rest of life. I know for a fact that Stanford, when they recruit guys, point to what Stanford can do for you 40 years down the line.
Right.
As they should.
Right.
Stanford will set you up for life. I've got two very dear friends from my times in college that have both gone on and gotten grad degrees from Stanford. They are going to benefit from those connections literally as long as they're on this planet.
Yeah.
That's the thing about this. The NIL can short-circuit all of that real quick.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, especially I think if you're a player that's doing well here,
oh yeah,
like you're a god. You're a god for life. You go to an LA school, nobody's going to remember you that 1 year that you played for $1 million or whatever it is that they offered you. You stay here and you do well, you're set for life. You are set for life. Like that's just how Utah, BYU takes care of their people. Like, because again, we don't have the pro sport. There isn't any apathy over the college team is playing this week.
Sure.
Ugh.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing about it is this is a community that it's I don't want to say it's unlike any other because there are communities similar to it, but BYU and Utah and just the state of Utah and itself, we like to take care of our own. People who come in from out of state, or even if you're from the state, people want to take care of fellow Utahns, and I appreciate what the Crimson and the Royal Blue Collective are trying to do here because they're trying to make it more than just here's the bag of money, go do your thing on the field there for us, son, or whatever. It's just they want to make sure that, hey, there's money, there's a financial component to it, but they want to extend that beyond just, okay, you're a hired mercenary, you're a hired gun, come in here and do your thing and then wish you well. It's got to be more. It's got to mean more, I guess is the easiest way to say it. You've got to make sure that, hey, okay, we're helping these guys out, guys or girls out, women out, with financial side of things, but at the same time, we're setting them up for future.
Yeah.
Because money's finite.
Yeah.
Like, it goes away.
Well, and especially in your early 20s, like...
Yeah, well...
Like, I mean, some kids are really great with that. Others are not.
Raising my hand, I would have been really bad with it.
I probably would not have been the best with that either. It's just, and especially these kids that come from nothing.
Sure,
and all of a sudden you have something... There's a high probability you're blowing through that pretty fast.
Well, when you don't have it and all of a sudden you get it, you're like, hey,
I can buy whatever I want. Yeah. Not a problem. I think it's absolutely important to weigh and remember that, you might get this money here and now, but that's a temporary part of this thing. Think about the other things that will benefit you down the road. And that's not to say, like, if it's a bad fit for you,
sure,
like, by all means leave. Like, if you're not being treated well, if
there are circumstances,
by all means, get out of Dodge. Like, it's fine. People will understand that. But don't make rash decisions chasing a dollar.
Yeah, and that... In this situation, it just feels like the almighty dollar came to the forefront, and I think it may have affected a few things on all sides. But the NIL sphere, it's a crazy, crazy world out there, and we'll obviously it'll continue to be a topic as long as it's existing in its current format.
Oh, yeah.
All right. We will get to 5 minutes of coming up next, cover some of the other topics we have not had a chance to get to on today's show. But I wanted to chat real quick with our good friend Lindsay here at the Woods Cross location of Murdoch Chevrolet. And Lindsay, 97 years in business with the Murdochs. Are they in like the fourth generation now of the family running things here? How deep are we into the Murdoch family running this thing?
Fourth generation. Yeah, probably I think about we're going on 2 years.
Okay.
That the sons now run it and are in charge and owners and stuff. So, we're in the fourth generation.
And the Murdochs are an institution in this state.
Absolutely. I mentioned on an earlier program that I've had the opportunity to travel all over the country in different dealerships and stuff. And when I came back, I actually chose
this
the
is where you
Murdochs,
wanted to be,
luckily, they they allowed me to work here.
Well, sure, and that's the thing about it. When you have 97 years in business, you mentioned it earlier, you're done something right because you don't exist for that long. You don't have that type of a run without doing things the right way in business.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you talk about the vehicles we have, you talk about celebrating 97 years, but when you look at the foundation that they have, that they run here, what they do for families, what they do for the community and stuff. It's just, it's impressive. It's amazing. It's an honor to work for an organization like the Murdochs.
Now, we're here talking about cars. We got a really cool Z71 sitting behind you here, but you got all kinds of options actually on the lot. You're not having to come in, look at it on a computer screen and order it. You can actually get in the car and drive it today.
Oh, absolutely. We got several trim levels on the Silverados. We got several trim levels on Traverses, Equinoxes. We've got a lot of vehicles, Blazers, that are actually here on the lot. You don't have to look at computers. You don't have to see what you want to
be like, oh,
build.
I can envision myself. Yeah,
we've got them here and love to have you come down and let us show you what we can do for you.
You said $7,000 off select Silverados right now as well. And it's awesome. Some great stuff. And also the used car market. You said 150?
We got close to 150 used cars right now.
Okay.
We've actually got a back lot that we're sitting on about 45, 50 cars right now, trying to get through detail.
Because, you just do the multi-point inspections and all that stuff, right? So awesome stuff. We'll stop on by. Any of the guys here will be happy to help you out. We'll talk with you one more time before we wrap up shop here. All right, Lindsay? All right, more in a moment. 5 minutes of coming up next. This is the Saturday Show right here on 97.5 FM, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome back to the Saturday Show here on 97.5 FM, the KSL Sports Zone. And Sarah, are you just enjoying the fact that you get to play country and there's not a complaint from your other hosts that don't like country?
Yes, it's amazing. We've had a few Win Ticket Wednesdays where we've been giving away tickets to country artists, and it's been making my life because I'm like, yay, I can finally play country music.
So pulling back the curtain a little bit, Sarah, obviously, I produce the morning show, and then she does Jake and Ben right afterwards.
Yeah.
And there are multiple days she'll come in, and she's setting up her show, getting all her bed music done. I'm like, what are you going with today? She's like, I really want to play insert country artist, but I know that Jake will complain about it, Jake Scott. And it's just like, just do it. Why not?
Hey, what's he going to do, break the glass?
It makes me chuckle because both of them, both Ben and him, they're kind of they're just so out on country. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I
know that you aren't necessarily.
I'm with them, but it's whatever. It's fine.
It makes me chuckle. It's always funny because it's a funny game. Cause Sarah, when those Win Ticket Wednesdays have come up, we give away Jason Aldean. Was Jason Aldean not too long ago, Sarah?
Yeah, and we gave away oh my gosh, not
Tim McGraw.
Tim McGraw. I was like, Faith Hill, that's the first thing that came to my head. Tim McGraw tickets, and I was like, yay.
That's fine.
Yeah, but so those days, Jake's just, it was funny.
Sigh.
Yeah.
Big sigh.
Okay. But nonetheless, fun times all the way around. All right, let's get to 5 minutes of here and talk about some other topics. Let's talk some NFL here, Michelle. Now, the fun part is I actually saw this last night when I got home from high school football. A lot of hype for Clark Phillips down with the Atlanta Falcons.
We like that.
Here's the thing. He is a phenomenal football player. The only thing that knocked him down in the draft is the fact that he's not 6'3" and 200 pounds.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, not everybody can be 6'3", 200 pounds. So, does this guy have other things that make up for that fact? And Clark is for sure that guy.
Yeah.
Bryn Covey's another one.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Diminutive player in terms of the actual body type, but their production on the field, they play bigger than they are.
1,000%. And I think NFL teams are starting to pick up on that, realize that, understand that, appreciate that. And so, I think, we're going to see teams maybe be a little more willing to take a flyer on some of these smaller guys that Utah occasionally brings in that don't necessarily fit the measurements because you have guys like Clark Phillips, you have guys like Bryn Covey going out and producing week in and week out.
Well, and that's the thing about it also. Like, you can never have too many, as I like to call them, football players on your team. Like, they may not fit the ideal measurements, height, weight, whatever, but if they produce, why wouldn't you want that on your team?
Well, and I think the attitude and the leadership
and
the fact that, those two guys are guys that are constantly in the playbook and they love the game and they live the game and they eat up the game. And that stuff that trickles to everyone else on the team.
Culture builders.
They're culture builders.
Yeah.
Yes, that is actually a phenomenal, I think, description of both of them. They are culture builders.
Yeah, and that's the thing about this. I think a lot of the athletes have come from the state of late. I'm thinking of the Fred Warners of the world. I'm thinking Dalton Kincaid's going to be that for the Buffalo Bills, it feels like.
Totally.
I look at, speaking of the Atlanta Falcons, Tyler Algier.
Yes.
Like, that dude came from relative nothing, and now he is a starting caliber running back in the NFL. Now,
yes.
How does he coexist with Bijan Robinson there in Atlanta? That's going to be an interesting debate. But to your point, all those guys were phenomenal football players here, but more importantly, were leaders of their team. There are other guys who they've got God-given talent that go out there and they're just playing ball and they're collecting big, massive paychecks. But in all honesty, they're just there to collect the bag.
Yeah. Get the paycheck, go home. No, those are absolutely great examples of guys that just make everyone better.
Yeah.
They just make everyone better. And I think they make the games fun. They make the practices fun because it is more than just collecting a paycheck. They want to be there. They want to get to know their teammates. They want to bring everybody up. Like, yes. Yes. Yes.
The other thing, so it's the final weekend of the NFL preseason, so there's going to be a lot of cuts happening here in the next few days. It's unfortunate because they go from 90-man rosters to 53-man, so there are a lot of dudes going to be out of a job real fast. And that'll include guys from the state, like guys with connections. So we'll be tracking that. Obviously, there'll be plenty of that coverage. Kyle Ireland, yourself, Mitch Harper on KSLSports.com. We'll be writing up all that stuff. Other big news in the NFL last night, just 2.5 years into his tenure with the San Francisco 49ers, after playing like 4 games, it feels like, Trey Lance is out with San Francisco. Now, I freely admit I am a Niners fan, and this is so weird to me. You traded 3 first-round picks. You mortgaged your almost immediate future to go out and get this kid, and then 2.5 years later, you turn around. And by the way, you did hedge your bet. You took Brock Purdy as Mr. Irrelevant. He has turned into what appears to be a franchise-caliber type guy. Great. But here's the same thing. Do you really know what you have in Trey Lance? Apparently they thought they did because they shipped him off to Dallas for a 4th-round pick.
I mean, we've talked a lot about this, and I think specifically about Zach Wilson.
Sure.
When is the NFL going to wise up with these quarterbacks and understand that, especially since it's usually the teams that are not doing so well that get some of those first picks, that picking, a 22, 23-year-old guy.
Well, in Zach's case, he was only 20.
Yeah. What are you doing? What are you doing expecting that guy to come in and instantly fix all your problems? That attitude needs to change. Yeah. There needs to be a level of development and patience and working with, and oh, by the way, maybe not squandering all of your resources on just the quarterback and giving him an empty cupboard to work with.
Yeah.
New York Jets.
Yeah.
It just... You're setting these kids up to fail. And it's I every year I can't help but think, who have we missed out on? Because the NFL has very little patience for development and just expects someone to come in and fix their problems.
Well, and that's why I got to give a massive tip of the cap to a guy like Andy Reid, because he took Patrick Mahomes. He knew Patrick Mahomes was going to be he saw what Mahomes had the potential to become. What does he do though? He says, "Hey, Pat, I got this guy named Alex Smith over here.
Right.
He's going to play first. You're going to sit and learn." And then it was off to the races at that point. 2 Super Bowls later. 4 trips to the Super Bowl or 3 trips to the Super Bowl, 2 wins. And it looks like they're set up to
possibly do it again this year.
Yeah, they will, and they're going to be in that for the foreseeable future too. So there needs to be more of the Andy Reid model, to your point, versus, what the Jets did with Zach saying, you're the guy, go. Or Trevor Lawrence with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, go ahead.
Yeah, we know we're a hot mess, but we expect you to fix this. But, oh, by the way, we're not getting you any receivers. We're not getting you any offensive linemen. Good luck and Godspeed, kid. And if you can't produce, then you're out in 2 years.
Yeah, crazy stuff. Sam Darnold beating out Trey Lance as the backup of the San Francisco 49ers. Speaking of a former Jets quarterback who was left for dead.
Yeah.
Crazy times in the NFL. All right, a couple other things real quick. Bronny James, obviously horrifying situation for him to collapse in practice. Is officially so he's expected to return to the court in, quote, the very near future after suffering cardiac arrest. Apparently the likely cause of that arrest was a congenital heart defect, which was identified after an initial evaluation at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles and then follow-up evaluations at both the Mayo Clinic and the Atlantic Health Morristown Medical Center in New Jersey. So he's been all over the country getting this checked out. I hope it has the ends all. What's the terminology I'm trying to use? Be all end all. I don't know. Whatever. It ends up being a positive situation here where he can resume his career because his dad has talked openly about he's sticking around the NBA to play with Bronny.
Jeez, that is okay. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But
LeBron wants to set history. He said, I've always wanted to play. I want to be the first father-son duo to play in the NBA. I think he looks at the Ken Griffey Jr. situation. Him and Ken Griffey Sr. played together for the not the San Francisco 49ers, the Seattle Mariners. And he wants to do that in the NBA. He wants to set another record by doing that. Now, the question is, okay, if he returns in the near future, I don't think he's one and done in this situation anymore at USC. So LeBron's going to be with the Lakers for at least another year here. How long can he really hold on? Now, LeBron's still playing really, really good basketball.
Yeah.
It may not be on an every-night basis like it was 3 or 4 years ago, but on any given night, that dude, he's the best, one of the best in the world, best of all time. He can give you 50 on any given night. So he will stick around the NBA for however long I think he wants to.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wonder, is Bronny going to be good enough soon enough to see that reality happen? But here's the thing. That's ancillary to the fact that it sounds like Bronny's going to be able to resume his playing career.
And that's good because that was a terrifying situation. And someone his age should not be having to deal with that.
Sure.
So the fact that the prognosis is looking better than it initially did, because I was seeing reports initially that like his career was likely over.
Well, and that's the thing. Had they discovered something that was more significant, absolutely. Because heart problems, you don't mess with that stuff.
No, it's not worth it. And especially, I mean, Bronny, like his family's set because of what Daddy's done.
Yeah.
So there's no need to risk it. Now, if it works out that you can accomplish that goal on your own,
sure,
with no adverse effects on the rest of your life, then by all means, if you love the game that much, go for it. But don't do anything stupid. Again, don't do anything stupid to chase a dollar, especially a dollar that you don't need.
Sure, and that's the thing about it is there's an opportunity here, obviously, for him to kind of create his own legacy, and that's the positive news is he's going to be able to resume his playing career because this is a kid who's been born and bred to essentially do this his entire life, and from all accounts, it's not been LeBron James Sr. because Bronny is LeBron James Jr.
Right.
It's not been his dad telling him you're gonna play hoop. Bronny's just he loves the game of basketball. And to have that potentially ripped away from you with this situation, it's got to have him thinking like, okay, the fact I'm able to go back out and do this, I think he's going to appreciate even more than he already did.
Totally.
I was also going to say, he looks like he's doing pretty good. Did you see him and LeBron walk out at Drake's concert?
I did not see that.
They're he had a big concert in L.A., and to walk out to the stage, he had LeBron and Bronny with him, and they were having the blast. Right. I mean, that's very different than playing on the court, obviously. Yeah. But I'm like, at least he's out and about and being social.
Doing stuff.
Yeah, that's the positive news, and he was actually spotted, I think, shortly after being released from the hospital. He was only in the hospital for, I think it was is it 48 hours even? It wasn't that long.
Okay.
So he was in and out, and that there was other people saying that the fact that he was out of the ICU and everything and released from the hospital relatively quickly, that's actually was a positive sign
I mean, you would hope so.
Yeah. So, but then he was
You would
spotted.
hope.
Like I think somebody said he was spotted at a L.A. eatery with his dad that very night or whatever.
Okay.
So he's not hiding from the world.
Yeah.
Like he easily could have curled up in a ball, sat in the family compound, and been like, "Nope, we're doing it."
We're hiding out for a minute.
But he's playing for USC. Who knows if how soon he plays this season? That's the thing about this. And by the way, this is the second straight year that USC has had an athlete go down with a heart issue.
Right, yeah. I found that very interesting. Like, so what's in the water in L.A. that's, like, causing this? Like, that's a little scary.
Yeah.
Twice in a 2-year span? Ugh.
Yeah, crazy, crazy scenes. But the positive news is it sounds like he is going to make a full recovery. And as soon as he takes the court again, I'm sure it'll be like must-see TV. Like it was already going to be that because he's LeBron James Jr.
Oh yeah,
like,
no, it's going to be a circus.
Yeah.
It's going to be a circus.
And then one other thing, real quick, on the high school football front. I don't know if you saw this last night. 4 people were shot during a high school football game last night in Choctaw, Oklahoma. I saw this last night. I saw it pop up, and I'm like, this is horrifying. So there was a game between Choctaw High School and Dell City High School, and victims were if you see the video, it's horrifying because all of a sudden you see players, fans, everybody just rushing, and people like were knocked down on the field. It was just horrible.
Gosh.
And as of last night, I think they said that the possible number of shooters was unknown, but the reports of 2 muzzle flashes seen during the shooting. There were off-duty police officers. One of them fired his weapon, was not injured. It's just it's a terrible thing. Like, this is high school football, folks. Like, let the kids do their thing. You don't need to bring that type of violence to a game.
No, there's a whole lot I could say on this.
Sure.
That you know what, I'm going to avoid going quite there, but like it's just unnecessary.
Yeah.
Like it's so unnecessary. You know what, your gun does not need to go with you everywhere you go. Like it just doesn't. And especially to whip it out and start shooting up certain areas where people are trying to enjoy their lives. Like, get out of here.
The games are where you go to escape from all the other crap in the world.
Exactly. It just, that is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
That is not what high school football is supposed to be. That's not what any sporting event or concert or even boring things like going grocery shopping are supposed to be. Like, you should be able to do those things without being worried about being mowed down.
Yep. It's sad scenes, obviously, all the way around. Because I'm calling high school football games. I love it. I was watching that Lone Peak Corner Canyon game last night. Lone Peak raced out to a huge lead. Corner Canyon raced out to a huge lead. Lone Peak rallied back. It was a fun football game. To consider something like that being marred by something like this, just.
You know what's sad is I think about it all the time.
Well, I think we all kind of have to consider it.
I think about it all. I'm like, so when is the day going to come that I end up being locked down in a stadium or an arena?
Be no fun.
Because some psychopath decides that that's a great place to make a stand.
Yeah, it's just one of those crazy, crazy things. But, yeah, so you know what? Let's be smarter as all of us, human beings wise. Like, let's come on now. Like, this is the fun part of what we're doing.
Yes.
We don't need to bring everything else in. Whatever. It is what it is. All right. We'll come back. I want to finish up today's show with a really cool article that you did for KSLSports.com.
Oh, thank you.
Connections between Utah and, I guess, what is it, pop culture? Like, or just...
I was just trying to think outside the box a little bit. I think people have this notion of Utah, like the state of Utah, the University of Utah, even BYU, as being like, nothing cool. Like,
it's buttoned up.
Yeah, they're like nothing cool happens there. There's no cool connections there. There's nothing going on there. You're wrong.
Yeah.
You're wrong. There's plenty of stuff that goes on and happens around these parts.
We'll get to that next. 7 facts about the Utes as we wrap up this Saturday show edition right here on 97.5 FM, the KSL Sports Zone.
Driving
Welcome back to the Saturday Show here on 97.5 FM KSL Sports Zone. Michelle Bodkin, Jake Hatch, breaking things down live at Murdoch Chevrolet here in Woods Cross. We'd love for you guys to stop by, pick up some jazz gear before we take off. But regardless, come and check out their incredible line of vehicles. We'll talk with Lindsay one more time before we wrap up shop here. But Michelle, I teased it before we hit the break here. You did a really cool article for KSLSports.com. You titled it 7 Random Facts to Know About Utah Football. Now, I think some of these are, if you are from Utah, you got some of them. I'm not going to lie. There were 2 that I did not know that you pointed. You learned me. You taught me.
I learned you.
I can talk good. I am on the radio, but I learned some things from this, and so that's the fun part about it. So a couple of them real quick. I'll just point out before we wrap up the show. So you mentioned fun fact number 1: Utah's the only school with first-round picks in both the NBA. Only school with first-round picks in the NFL and NBA draft in the same year.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty impressive in its own stuff. Obviously, Alex Smith and Andrew Bogut were the number 1 overall picks in the same year. That's history in its own right. The 2 that I wanted to point out the most, Kyle Whittingham and Suge Knight. Obviously, Death Row Records, all that hoopla that exists around there. I did not know this. They were teammates during the lockout, the strike season for the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How in the world did you put that together?
It was actually a fan tweeted it out a couple years ago, and it was one of those things I was like, there's no way. There's no way. So I went and looked at the roster, and I was like, oh, my gosh. Yeah. It is real. It's fact.
So Marion Hugh Knight Jr. is actually given. He goes by Suge Knight. Crazy. I did not know that.
Here's the thing. They've both gone on to be kneecap busters in very different regards.
Very good point. Now, the O.J. Simpson deal, he was almost a Ute. There was a whole situation there. I remember, actually, I've read this story. Like, they had an assistant take him back to, like, San Francisco area to try and get things locked up with Utah, and then USC swoops in and scoops him away. Mm-hmm. What could have been, and the whole other deal had O.J. Simpson ended up being a Utah player in the late 60s. Crazy to consider that scenario, considering how things are shaking out there. And then the one other one I want to point out, and this is a great article. I'd encourage you guys to go read this. I did not know this. Alessandra Ambrosio has been to a Utah game?
Yes.
Explain.
Okay, so I don't know if they are still dating, but she was dating a Utah alum that is also a model in Los Angeles. I've actually met him before. Uh-huh. I know his brother really, really well. But so they actually were trying to get her out to a game. Previously, they were looking at the Oregon game in 2021. And schedules, obviously, being supermodels, didn't work out. Well, it worked out for that USC game, and all accounts, she had a really, really, really great time. Mm-hmm. She loves being around people, is what I've been told. Okay. She was particularly into the tailgate thing because in Brazil, where she's from, like that's a huge deal in the soccer culture, in the football culture. So she really, really was into it, liked it. I'm hoping it. Maybe someday I can talk to her about that. That is something that I've been trying to work out. And then I slid one other little thing.
Yeah, there's a little tease in the end.
Yeah, there's a little tease. I'm hoping to have this story better explained. But Genuine has been to Utah football games before. Yes, that
I don't know how you come across
the
this
pony
stuff.
The pony song.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, Genuine, Alessandro Ambrosio, come on.
So the Genuine story, I found out about that actually this past year at the Pac-12 championship game. I was hanging out with a bunch of guys that played in 1994, that 1994 team that was really good for Utah football, and the pony came on in the club that we were at, and I'm sitting back because I'm like, I know that this is kind of your era, so I'm waiting for them to jam out and get really into it. And one of the guys looks at me and he goes, I grew up with him. He's been to games. I was like, wait, what? That was not the response I was expecting to get. But, I mean, the bottom line is, hang out with people and you learn things.
Jeez. All right. Cool stuff. By the way, I don't care if you're a Utah, BYU, I don't care what fan. Read this story. It was really fun. Well done by you.
Thank you.
It was really, I trust me, I was like, it's actually a really good idea. I really enjoyed reading that one.
Thank you.
Yeah, so anyways, good stuff. Check it out, KSLSports.com. Fun stuff. All right, before we go here, let's talk one more time with our good friend Lindsay here at Murdoch Chevrolet here in Woods Cross. And Lindsay, you and I talked right after we talked last time about how you guys go about with your used cars. Now, you mentioned you have 150 on the lot here, but you guys go through a rigorous inspection process on this, and it's really simple. It's pass-fail, right?
Absolutely. Any car that one of our corporate buyers purchases or trade-ins that come in, we'll actually take it through our service department, go through a very detailed multi-point inspection, and then from there, if the brakes don't pass, they're replaced. If tires don't pass, they're replaced. If anything doesn't pass, it's replaced. On top of that, a U-Cars manager will actually take it, and if there's something that does pass but it's getting close, there's a lot of times he'll override that and replace that as well.
I'll just say, hey, we're just fixing that right now.
Yeah, so a lot of our used cars are out on the lot, especially the newer ones and stuff are basically brand new.
You can rest assured that, hey, it's been taken care of. Like
correct.
This car, the Murdochs, they put the sign still, like they put their stamp on it. Like this car is going to run well for you.
Yeah, and it's based on the year and mileage. If it's over 120,000 miles, we still take it through the shop, but we don't.
Cars get old. It happens.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It happens. But you guys have been in business here 97 years, obviously, with the Chevrolet brand. That's part about the Murdochs. They got multiple other brands as well, but we're here at the Murdoch Chevrolet location. 97 years in business, and you guys got a really cool deal on Silverado 1500s in particular.
Yes, on select 1500s, you can get up to $7,000 off on a 1500 truck right now. We have over a dozen on our lot right now. You can come down, all trim levels, take a look at them.
No matter what you're looking
for. Yeah, we've got it. You can take a look at them. They're here. Drive them. Go through them. You don't have to
take it
build
home
them.
with you,
Yeah, take it home. See if it fits in the garage. That's one we hear all the time.
I do have a brother-in-law who just moved into a new house and found out his truck is. I'm not joking. I've seen it with I've saw the 2.5 inches.
Yeah,
it's 2.5 inches too short. I was like, well, you probably should have checked that before you made such. But nonetheless, you can do all that here.
Absolutely. You can test drive. We let people take them, check that out. We let them go show spouses if the spouse isn't here, and they can take it to lunch to help with the decision and stuff. We, as our motto says, like to treat people like family, and so we would do that if you were a family member, and we like to treat people like that as well. So.
Well, awesome. You guys are here open till 8 tonight, obviously,
Correct.
just off the freeway here in Woods Cross. Encourage you guys to stop by. Looking forward to being back up here soon enough to talk with you some more. All right, Lindsay?
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
All right. We'll do it for the Saturday show. For Sarah back in the studio and for Michelle, I'm Jake. Have a great rest of your day. Also, big thanks to Sean as well for being here teching for us. We'll be back next Saturday. And by the way, it's going to be game day next Saturday. We're here. We'll be recapping Utah. We'll be talking about BYU. Utah State will be underway already by the time we're on air next week.
Oh, happy day.
It's here, so get ready for it. Thanks again for tuning in. This has been the Saturday Show here on 97.5 FM, the KSL Sports Zone.